Kyle, I almost requested this song earlier, but I wasn't 100% sure if it was TLC or somebody else, so thanks for that. Kyle back at the studio. We're live at the Illinois State Fair. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk right across from the North American Midway as the sun is overhead. It's a beautiful day, and the weather's going to be absolutely gorgeous, so no excuse for you to not get out here. But what's so vitally important, it's not the rides, it's not the deep-fried anything on a stick, it's not even the horse racing per se. It's agriculture, and that's what the Illinois State Fair is really there to highlight. And we've been talking with various members of the agricultural community all week long, including our conversation with Illinois Farm Bureau President Richard Giebert yesterday. And today we talk about dairy producers. And joining us right now is Tara Bohnert Yoder, correct? Okay, thank you for taking time with us. For people who don't know you in particular, tell us where you're located and what you guys produce.
Yeah, well, our farm is located up in the Quad City area on the Iowa-Illinois border, and we're dairy producers. And so I was born and raised on the farm, but essentially a first-generation dairy farmer because my father did not have a dairy before we were children. So really a unique perspective, I think, of the dairy industry because it's not a legacy thing. Like, it's a lot of work, and we chose to do it.
Why did you choose to do it? Were you already in agriculture, or was this just something you thought to yourself, you know what? Let's just jump on into this.
We're typical Illinois farmers. In the 80s, we had row crops and pigs. Back then, everybody had pigs, and then the hog market didn't do so well through the 90s, and there was a lot of changes to that. And we'd picked up dairy just as an easy 4-H project. It's great for kids. The animals are pretty docile and easy to work with, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And today, our family milks 500 cows, wow. And I always knew I wanted to work in agriculture, so my brothers are on the farm full-time, along with my father, and then I actually work in the dairy industry, so I get to work with dairy producers really all over the world.
We're talking with Tara Bohnert Yoder. She is a dairy farmer up in the Rock Island County area, and you're here. You've been here all week. You've got your family here as well. Where can people find your exhibits?
Yeah, we're in barn 110, one of the bigger, larger brick barns on the corner, and we've been there actually for 2 weeks because we had beef in there last week, and now we're set up shop with our dairy.
Now, for people wondering, a dairy farmer, do you just make milk for milk's sake, or do you also diversify and get it out for other dairy products, cottage cheese or other cheese items or whatnot?
We milk Jerseys, which are the brown cows, and they have milk that's really suited well for making cheese and other processed stuff. And we've always shipped to the last several years to a cheese plant. So our milk ends up predominantly in Swiss cheese.
Oh, wow.
It's the largest Swiss cheese manufacturer, and they sell it under other labels. So if you have a Kraft cheese or a Swiss cheese or anything like that, it very well could be our product.
Now, we talked briefly off air, just kind of about what we're going to cover, and one thing I definitely wanted to hear from you and your perspective, and a lot of people out there when the pandemic hit, they were told to stay home. Kids were kept from school, a whole host of small businesses were severely impacted, but then we started hearing, and I think for me, one of the scariest moments of the pandemic was when we started hearing news stories about food shortages and about the logistics issues. And then when I'd go to the grocery store, I'd see that, oh my gosh, there's not the chicken I usually get. This is actually kind of scary. But then there were even more stories of people having to get rid of their products, farmers and producers having to get rid of their products. What was it like for you guys?
Yeah, we were pretty fortunate where we weren't like some of the fellow dairy producers that did have to look at dumping milk or anything. But we have to remember dairy is probably the most unique food source we have as to how perishable it is, and the fact that it has to be produced every single day. We can't just decide tomorrow we're not going to milk our cows. So you milk the cows, the milk has to go somewhere. And so the dairy farms weren't shut down. Our dairy farmers, were still doing their daily job, but a lot of the logistics with distribution and trucking and plants and processing is really where we got into a lot of trouble.
Again, we're talking with Tara Bohnert Yoder. She is a Rock Island County dairy exhibitor here at the Illinois State Fair, broadcasting live for 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And one thing that we definitely love hearing from business owners and those who are, in the thick of it, so to speak, is what are some of the challenges you guys still face? Be it state policy, be it federal policy, what would you say are some of the challenges, or even economically, finding staff, finding employees?
Yeah.
What are some of those challenges you face?
I think globally for the dairy industry, the biggest biggest thing we struggle with right now is labor a lot of times because, again, it's a 365-day job. Somebody's got to milk at night. Somebody has to work weekends. And you need reliable people who are going to show up because, again, the cows are standing there waiting for us. And then at times milk pricing as well. Some of our milk pricing systems that we have out there are quite outdated and very old. So they're always kind of looking at ways that we can revamp that as well.
And as far as any state policies or federal policies that you guys run into that may be too burdensome, or are things solid and good?
I think, with anything, there's always a lot of regulation and policy, and we would always rather just do the right things because they're the right things and not have to have burdensome regulation. But sometimes we're doing the right things. It's just there's a lot of hoops. There's a lot of paperwork. There's just a lot of cumbersome things involved in it.
Tara, finally here, what would you say is the least known thing that consumers need to know about the dairy industry?
I think one of the big things people might not realize is that 98% of the dairy farms are still family owned. That size does not dictate if it's a family owned dairy or not, and it certainly doesn't impact the quality of care that the animals receive.
Tara, thank you so much for taking time with us with Morning Drive Radio. It's real quick, so I appreciate your perspective and sharing with us some of the things you guys have done in the past throughout COVID, but also here at the State Fair exhibiting. And again, tell us where people can find your exhibits and your family's exhibit.
Yeah, we're down in Barn 110 on the fairgrounds, and my kids have all sorts of free things they're giving away, coloring books and pizza cutters and all sorts of good stuff to represent the dairy industry.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Well, thanks again for taking time with us here from the Illinois State Fair. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. Let's take a look at Springfield's dependable 5-day forecast, where it's absolutely gorgeous today. A chance of sprinkles. I don't see it anywhere. The sun is out. There's not a cloud in the sky. And as you can see, if you're watching live on the video, our camera's posted towards the Carnival Midway, and it's just absolutely gorgeous out there. Tonight for the TLC and Shaggy concert, the low of 61. Thursday, sunny with a high of 84. Friday, we got mostly sunny skies, 83 the high. And then Saturday and Sunday, we do have a chance of showers and storms with highs in the lower 80s, but so far it has been an absolutely gorgeous and mild Illinois State Fair here on Springfield's Morning